To begin this tutorial, we will select a user layer to create our curves there. Next, we'll go to the Curves tab and click on the Circle command. From the front view, we'll type 0 and press Enter to set the center point at the origin. Then we'll type 14. Press Shift to activate the Ortho option, and click on the right side of the axis to create our first circle. Now we'll right-click to run the Circle command again, set the center point at 0 once more. Then type 18, press Shift, and click on the right side again. We'll activate the shaded mode at the bottom of the viewport. By pressing Shift, it will be enabled in all viewports simultaneously. Now to continue, select the inner curve, the smaller one. Go to the Transform tab and use the Move command. Use the front view to make the process easier. To make it even simpler, use the Snap option found at the bottom. You can also find it in the left panel. Activate all options except for Project if they're not already enabled. Then select the top point and move the circle until it touches the top point of the larger circle. Now go to the Curve tab and use the Line command to create a line. Activate the Grid Snap option. We'll draw a vertical line crossing both circles. Now we'll use this line to split both sides of the curves. Select the circles and in the upper left corner, use the Split command. Then select the line and press Enter. You can read the command bar for guidance on the steps required for each command. We now have the circles split in two. I'll change the curve layers so they are easier to distinguish in the tutorial, but this is not necessary. To continue, go to the Transform tab. From the Perspective view, select the curve on the far right. Now use the Rotate command, and from the right view, select the bottom point of the selected curve, then the top point. With the help of Grid Snap, rotate 2 squares to the left. Now use the Perspective view to select the curve on the left. We'll do the same procedure. Use the Rotate command, select the bottom point, then the top point, and this time rotate 2 squares to the right. Now we'll use the Perspective view again. Important: deactivate the Grid Snap option. This will make positioning easier as we need a high level of precision. Now select the curves that remain on the axis, the inner ones. Use the Move command. Select the top point of the curve, then select the top end of the outer curve. This step is important because the curves need to be at the same point in order to join them later. Use the Snap guides, and when you see End, click, and the first curve will be positioned. We'll now do the same with the other one. Select the curve, use the Move command, and using the Snap guides, position it at the other end of the outer curve. Lastly, to finish working with the curves, we'll go to the right view, which will be very helpful for performing the final transformation. Once we are in the right view, we'll select the curve located furthest to the left. Then, we'll use the Rotate command. Click on the highest point of the curve, then on the lower end. With the help of Snap, move the cursor to the central curve, and when the INT guide, short for intersection, appears, click. We'll repeat the same process with the curve on the right. Select it, use the Rotate command, then click on the top point, followed by the bottom point. Move the cursor to the central curve, and when INT appears, click. Now that we're done, we'll switch back to the 4-view layout, and our curves should appear as a single curve, just like in the video. To make sure it actually becomes a single curve, we'll select them and click on Join in the top left. To verify they've joined correctly, check the command bar. It should say, 4 curves joined into 1 closed curve. If you don't see this message, you'll need to repeat the process, making sure to use the Snap guides to position the curves precisely. If their endpoints are not at the exact same location, they won't join. Now, keeping the curve selected, I'll move it to a different user layer. I'll also set a metal layer as the working layer. This way, we can hide user layer 3 to remove anything unnecessary from view. Now that our viewport is tidy, we'll select the curve and use the front view. Go to the Curve tab, and with the curve still selected, use the Offset command. From the front view, type 3 in the command bar to create an offset curve 3 millimeters away, and simply click to create it. As we can see when selecting the curves, the offset curve is created with many control points. This makes it difficult to work with, as it creates poly surfaces instead of a clean surface, which results in too many control points. To improve this, select both curves, go to the Curve tab, and click on the Fit command. As we can see in the command bar, In my case, the tolerance is set to 0.1. If you have different parameters, type 0.1 and press Enter to execute the command. Now we can see the number of points has been reduced. At this point, we can properly work with our curves. To continue, once we have the curves ready, we'll use the Assets command. In the Asset Selector panel, double-click on Profile 001. Then click in the Perspective viewport. It doesn't matter exactly where for now. Then rotate it -90 degrees to place it as shown in the video. Now we'll go to the Surface tab and use the Curves to Rails command to position the asset on our curve. We'll select the two curves and then the asset. Press Enter to execute. As we can see, it's been positioned correctly, but this command offers more options. In the command bar, we can choose different modes. In this case, we'll switch the mode to closed. Then we'll activate the sweep option and press Enter to confirm. And now we have our base solid to create the Möbius Pendant. We can move the asset to another layer to hide it. To continue, go to the Curve tab. In this case, we'll use the Offset curve on Surface command to create reference curves from the edges of the solid. Select the first edge, and as we can see, arrows will appear. Choose the option where the arrows point inward, Surface Edge, type 0.5 in the command bar, and press Enter to create the first curve. Now repeat the process with the lower edge. Click the command again, then select the edge where the arrows point outward, Surface Edge. Since we already have an offset value of 0.5, we just need to press Enter to create the second curve. We'll move them to another layer so they are easier to see. To make sure the curves sit exactly on the surface, we'll select them and use the Pull command, selecting the surface they're on. Now we can see they are perfectly aligned with the surface. From the Perspective view, we'll go to the Solid tab and use the Push and Pull command. Then click on the surface located in the inner part between the two offsets. Type 0.4 in the command bar, then use the mouse to guide the command toward the inside of the solid and click to execute. Now we have the channel where we will later place the gemstones in our model. To do this, we'll go to the Curve tab and use the Extract ISO Curve command. If the ISO curve is oriented in the wrong direction, we can change it from the command bar. In my case, I need the ISO curve in the U direction. With the help of OSNAP, we'll click on the central intersection point of the channel. By clicking, we'll create a curve that goes through the entire element, which will help us position the gemstones. We'll move the curve to another layer. Then we'll go to the Diamond tab and use the Gems on Curve command. We'll add the curve to the Curve selector in the command panel, then select the channel surface as the reference surface for gemstone orientation. We'll change the gemstone size to 1.8. Then, in the Prongs tab, we'll activate them and adjust the diameter to 0.6 millimeters and the spacing to 1. Next, we'll adjust the height settings, change the height over girdle to 0.10 millimeters, and the height under girdle to 0.3 millimeters. Now in the Cutters tab, we'll select the fourth preset and activate it. This step is important. We cannot allow the back cutters to intersect with the solid in front of them. To adjust this, we'll reduce the height top. We'll examine different parts of the model to make sure nothing is touching. In my case, I'll set it to 50, because as we can see, no cutter intersects with the solid. Once everything is adjusted, we'll accept the command. To finish, we'll go to the Solid tab, select the solid, and click on the Boolean difference command. Then select the cutters and press Enter to perform the subtraction. Now our model is practically finished. We can hide everything that is not part of the final model. Now we just need to create a solid to attach a chain. To do this, we'll use the 4-view layout. From the right view, go to the Curve tab and use the Arc command, choosing the Start and Endpoint option. In the OSNAP options, activate the project setting to make sure the curve is centered. Select a point on the right side of the solid, then another on the left, and adjust the curvature. Now we just need to go to the Solid tab, use the pipe command, and in the command bar, change the output to sub D. Also, change the cap option to round. Then type 0.5 millimeters and press enter. Type 0.5 again and press enter to create our sub D. Now our model is completely finished. All that's left is to render it for our social media. We'll leave a reference render, but feel free to share your results with us.